This is the Fortune RX7. Many of you will recognise it from Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. In that movie there was an orange one. This is a different colouring but same car, same kit from Valside. We're actually going to modify this rear end, the rear quarters, the boot lid and the back bumper, and we're going to use the clay method as we have in the past. We're actually the good thing about this project is we're going to make it all reversible, so whatever we do here we can take it off and we can put the old style body kit back on it, which is going to be great. So it will be a very interesting project, so please subscribe and watch some of the time-lapse videos of the clay work, and we'll also explain how to set up the car on the floor and how to get everything symmetrical and how to build it. So yeah, it should be a really good project. So we've taken the back bumper off, and we've also set the car down on blocks at exactly the level that it was when it was on its rims. So we've finally reached a point where we like the design after completely freehanding the left hand side, and we're ready to replicate this onto the other side. But first we'll give you a little bit of a look around this, and then we'll mirror image it so you can see what it looks like as a full piece. Then we'll cover this in tin foil and a layer of glass, and then we'll do some wood templates so that we can copy it exactly and symmetrical on the other side, and we'll show you those steps as we go. Tinfoil is an excellent way to see what the shape's going to look like in metallic, in any kind of metallic paint job. Be able to see what the lines do and how the curves are. The metallic will also show up any imperfections in your curves. For example, the curve down here, you'll be able to see if it's not quite right. And all these curves down through here, the metallic shows it up really good. Now the main reason why we put the tinfoil down on top of the clay is because the clay is wet, and we need to keep that wet clay away from our fiberglass materials. Next step is to put packaging tape on top of that. The reason for that is the tinfoil sticks too well to the fiberglass. So we have put 2 layers of 6OZ fiberglass cloth on here, which gives us a layer of about 3mm thick. And that's enough to give this some strength and stop the clay from ever moving while we replicate this on the other side. So how we do that is we make up template ribs that I used in other projects prior to this one. And the first thing we do is we put a whole lot of laser lines down here, and then we make up our ribs, and we'll show you how we do that as we go. This is the preparation work for the template plates. So first of all you need reference point for the bottom. So we've got these bits of timber here, which are your reference points. Now these bits of timber have measuring tapes stapled onto them, and we got them square to the car by simply coming off here, measured out to here, both sides. We know that's absolutely perfect and square. And same with this bit here. With this bit here we measured from the shed wall back, both sides, and then make sure it was square with a big square. Everything was measured and marked, so I know exactly where the reference points are at the bottom. Now the next tricky bit is the reference points at the top. That red line there is a laser line. They're all laser lines, but to get that is my reference point for the top, and this one along here is my reference point along the top. Now how I got this one was I simply measured out from the door jamb. I think it was 86 centimeters there, did the same on the other side, set up my laser, drew my line. This here, how I got that reference point was simply, this here is not changing at all, so I just measured out 50mm and then drew my line. So it's a good reference point for both sides. So you see it's the same here. And those are very important, those reference points. Now the tools that I've used to do this is pretty simple. A self-leveling level, it just levels itself. I'll be using this shortly. Packaging tape. It's good to have a flexible ruler like this one when you're ruling those lines. Bit of masking tape, craft knife. A little steel ruler like this comes in handy. You'll need a square like this one, and that's to make sure these lines on the timber are square to the car and to the timber. And of course a pen. And these here are the only 2 tools I use for when I do the clay. That's it, apart from the level. So scrape all the clay back with this until you get all your shape right. Now this is about 0.5mm thick, and that there is about 2mm thick, and this is good for scraping back hard clay, because this thing here won't handle the hard clay, it's not strong enough. And that's it for all of that clay work. It was just those 2 tools and the level. So the whole left hand side here has been free-handed until the the person who owns this was happy with it, and now we have to replicate that perfectly on the other side. So now we will build our templates. First thing we'll do is we'll put packaging tape over all of these lines so that we don't lose them, and then we will start fiberglassing up our templates. So what's been done here is packaging tape has been put all the way down the laser lines, right down to the ground, and 2 markings on the timber. And now we'll lay strips of fiberglass like this all the way over them, 2 layers, just to set a base for our rib templates. This is how we create our template ribs, or rib templates. In the past I've used cardboard to do this job, but today I'm using clay. So I took a bit of clay, which is a box section, 30 by 30 mils, and you can see our laser lines underneath our first 2 layers. Now those first 2 layers are actually the template. They're the part that make the shape of the whole thing, and these parts here that I'm producing now are called the rib part, and that's going to stop this from flexing out of shape, because it doesn't want to, you can't have it flexing. So what we do is we take a bit of tin foil, cover it, and we won't bother with the packaging tape because we don't care about the tin foil sticking to the fiberglass. And we took a whole lot of fiberglass mat and cut them into 30 to 40 mil strips, and then we're simply going to put them in there like that, cut them into smaller bits and put them all the way through, like so, and that will give us our rib on top of the template. So here we are about 24 hours later. The fiberglass is set, the templates and the ribs are finished. They still need a clean up, but this is what we end up with. This easily separates from the rest of the card because we put our packaging tape down first, and we just separate the clay away from the template. And you end up with this, and that's the shape we're interested in right there, all the way down there. So we'll take these away now, we'll clean them up, we'll do our markings on the other side, and then we'll show you how they're used. This is how the clay is supported when there's a lot of clay and a lot of weight. Just hold lots of bits of timber on the inside of the clay. If any of this stuff ends up sticking outside the clay, we just cut it off with the saw. They'll give it plenty of support, it can take a lot of weight. So this is how the rib templates work. I've got them all set up on the car now, just so that I can show you. You can see where all the clay needs to go to be the same as the other side. You can see in here the gap, and that needs to be filled in. Right there through in order to get it exactly like the other side. Now I don't normally set them all up all together like this. I usually start at one end, this end, use one at a time and work my way through, filling the clay as I go. Just gives me more space to work. It's hard to work with all of these on the car. Although you could do it that way if you really wanted to. So I know that this is accurate, so long as I come down, put these on the right mark. Here's my marks here. If that's sitting there, and that could be screwed into the timber if you wanted to. Then I know I've got this mark here, it's within line. Same with this one. There's the line. So as long as I'm right on that cross there, I've got a back down to there again. So long as they're all lined up properly, then they're accurate within 5 mils. Then when we come to building and sanding down the panel, we further refine the degree of accuracy to about 2 millimeters compared to the left and the right sides, which is very good. Your eye will never pick up on that. Now I'll show you one of the forms, the templates. These have been cleaned up. Bits of tinfoil still stuck on one side, but that don't matter. And when you clean these up, you really want to grind these down so they're only about 5 mil thick. It's this edge here that is really important. Just want it about 5 mil thick. You don't want it too thick at all, because you're trying to transfer a left through to the right, and if there's any curve in this, it will confuse you. So the thinner the better.